Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, we're gonna save doing some new stuff today and do some more prepping discussion. If you saw my video where I had the trailer at Lowe's and I had some wood loaded on it, I've got a project that 90% of it doesn't have anything to do with prepping, but if you look at everything and can piece together other things that it helps out with, it's multifaceted, like most everything that we do. The best example that I could give is planting some fruit trees. They're going to provide shade once they're tall enough. They got nice thick branches, and trees help keep your house cooler, so they're going to help with the electric bill once they're tall enough that they start blocking out some of the sun. But I'm really not planting trees to save on my energy bill. I'm planting the trees to produce fruit so that we can eat it in the immediate when it's ripe, and we can preserve it through jams and dehydrating or freeze drying, and have that food for the winters when they're not producing fruit. So this next project, which I'm not really going to record it, I'm replacing my fence. My current fence is just 4x4 post, cow panel, and a 2x4 on the top and the bottom to keep it attached. And for 3.5 years, that was perfectly fine, keeping my dogs in. And we had 2 nice big gates that we could back the truck full of firewood all the way up to where we stack wood, and everything's good. Now one of the dogs goes over the fence, and while I could have probably just got an electric fence, run the wire over the top, probably would have kept her in, we went with a privacy fence. When it's complete, it'll match up with my grandmother's side, and it'll just be the house makes an L so you can't see into the backyard. This fence will be one part of the L, grandma's fence will be the other part of the L, and dogs shouldn't be able to get out because it's a 6-foot fence, nice smooth backing. And I'm not an expert on fence building. I'm not gonna try to set up a bunch of camera angles to try to show me building a fence, especially when I have a 2-year-old. I think the saying with small kids is it's like working by yourself, but harder. I know projects take longer. I know he wants to help out and be included, and I'm gonna let him help out and be included and feel like he's accomplishing stuff. His little plastic hammer is not putting the nails in, but he's spending time with me. He's outdoors. He's not sitting in front of a tablet or whatever. So it'll be good for him. But I also need to get this done, so we're not gonna document this, because it wouldn't really be a how-to guide when I'm the one watching other people's YouTube videos and reading articles to make sure I do this the right way so it doesn't look all tacky. That being said, you should subscribe if you're looking for the prepping kind of stuff, looking at the news and dissecting it, and sharing the video with your friends and family, liking, commenting, doing all those sort of things. But where this ties into prepping, just kind of in the name, privacy fence. So it's a 6-foot fence. You can't see through it. There is a level of operational security that goes into that. Yes, 99% of it is keeping the dog in. Maybe she'll quit barking as much because she won't be able to, see the kids running down the road from the high school and all that sort of stuff. But our chicken coop is also going in this backyard. I'm going to put up another small fence so that she doesn't mess with them. That one doesn't need to be a privacy fence. It just needs to be tall enough to keep her out. But the only people that'll know we have chickens is my grandmother, and depending on how loud they are, a couple of the people around us. But they're going to need to be able to hear them, or they need to hear me talk about them before they know about the chickens. We could turn that entire backyard into a garden. I could, build a patio and put all of my workout stuff back there. I could be digging a bunker underneath my house, and most people aren't going to know what's going on. It's also a deterrent. If people can't see your stuff, it's hard for them to get that idea of, I want to go in there and mess with stuff, take it, cause harm. A 6-foot privacy fence, most people aren't just grabbing the top of it and hopping over. Most people also aren't doing that when they don't know what's behind it. It's a level of security. It's a physical barrier. It is a extra step towards getting into the back of the house. Not going through the garage. It's got a car in it. It's full of stuff. Going in any of the back doors or anything like that. Now there's a big old tall fence that you don't know what's on the other side of it. Physical barrier. You can think of it as cover and concealment. You can't see what's on the other side. And, it's not like a chain link fence. You can't stick your feet in it, get a holding, and, hop on over. That's basically everything that, it's not a new concept of building a barrier. Humans have been making barriers for thousands of years. That's how we started to domesticate animals. That's how we started showing property lines. That's how we started to defend what is ours. In a perfect world where I've got all the money sitting around, there's hundreds of thousands of subscribers, I could build this privacy fence, and immediately on the other side, I could build a brick wall, cement block wall. So now it's a privacy fence, and it really truly is cover. It has this strong physical barrier that makes it much more difficult to gain access to. This is like working on your castle, and that backyard, is part of your inner courtyard. A more perfect world, there's a secondary privacy fence going around the entire property. That starts to look a little weird living in the city. Maybe doing something different if we lived outside the city, or like working on the bug out location. But that's our big budget replacement with our tax return. It's gonna keep the dog in, hopefully. I'll knock on as much wood as I need to. And we'll be able to do stuff in the backyard without other people knowing that we're doing stuff in the backyard. At the moment, we're not doing anything in the backyard. I'll put up the secondary fence later. The chickens will come at some point this year, and then we'll actually have a good reason other than keeping the dog in for having that fence. But I seem like I'm rambling at this point, so like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those sort of things. Let me know in the comments a topic of discussion that you want to see. My spring break's coming up. I'm gonna have time to do more skill-based videos, and so you'll see more of those in about 7 to 10 days. But if there's something specific that you'd like to see, then let me know in the comments down below. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one.